Yeah, I mean, I thought the fact that, the two creators or two of the main creators would actually go out of their way, remove the anonymous aspect. A lot of these projects have those pseudo-anonymous, creators, which gives them a lot of ability to do some rug pulling. It gives them the ability to, if it fails, there's less accountability. So I admire the fact that they're willing to put their names and faces on this project. It means that they believe in it. I'm also a big fan of the art. Today was crazy with just so many drops, and so I worry about will it survive before this peak starts to crumble? I think that the art stands on its own. I'm a big fan of this project, even if we're signs are of us heading into a little bit of collectible winter. I think that this art stands the test of time. So I'm going to buy a few just because I think it'll be fun to collect. I think that their roadmap is more solid than a lot of the other projects, but that's just one person's take. I'm curious. Sophisticated calls him as right as he calls him wrong, and he's been going hard during this time. So curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like really cool, and it's a unique look in a unique space, and I like the art. I like the really clean backgrounds, and I think that they did a great job of, while all of the dogs can look cool, I think you can pretty easily pick out things that are going to be rare, right? So like maybe like gold fur, like the crown, the laser eyes. Those are all things that are like pretty easy to distinguish, and it's not noisy. Like the background isn't noisy. I mean, I think for me, it would really come down to, the mint cost on the project to determine what I want to do. I mean, I think that there's a lot of projects coming out, and there's going to be hits or misses. I think the big thing now, just like going forward, is being selective about the projects that you believe in. And then if you believe in the project, at this stage in the game, you need to be coming in with like a longer term horizon, meaning that I don't think it's realistic that with how many drops that we're going to have relative to how many people are in the space, that we're going to get these like easy 3, 4, 5x's, like we did with some of the drops earlier in the month. So I think if you like something, you think it stands out, it's a differentiator, then you can definitely speculate, but just like looking to hold on, a longer term horizon. And then when like the dust settles, will this be one of the ones that stands out as a winner?
For sure. And Nick, we're going to talk about Master Brews in a minute. We have a lot of people here for Master Brews, but just on the subject of the collectible NFTs, obviously you have your feet, your 10 toes down on that more than anybody else that, I know in the space. Besides like Bored Apes, right? When you kind of just take a step back and look at the projects that just have come out in the past like 2 weeks, and there's been a lot, Bulls on the Block, Hash Demons, Gutter Cats actually technically came out 20 days ago, which is crazy because it feels like
2 years ago.
Literally seems like 2 years ago. Anything, but just objectively speaking, your eyes on everything. What are the projects that do stand out to you that could potentially be longer term?
I mean, it's a good question too, because it's also, you have to think about the fact that on like the forward looking horizon, if there's been this many projects, over the past week, how many are queued up for next week, or like the next like 2 weeks? And I remember saying something on like Nifty Gateway in February that like new art dilutes or old art, and new artists dilute like old artists. And so it's going to be increasingly harder to be in the cream of the crop and increasingly easier to be in the bottom, 90% of projects that, potentially don't survive. So, I mean, I think some things you'd look at is you have to objectively be like, what will make this like stand out and stand the test of time? A lot of these things are coming out so quick too. They don't have that time to build a community. Like, so for me, it's, it's almost like at this kind of stage in the game, like, wouldn't you rather maybe buy an ape while they're like pulling back now than maybe, throw a bunch of Hail Marys on these different other projects? But I mean, I think this art is cool, and people love dogs, and if there's a space for huge growth in the avatar industry, then this thing could work out. But I think, like, for me, I've I try to size in way too hard on 2 meme NFTs back to back, and I think right now the name of the game. A lot of my friends I know that are being successful right now, they're flipping a couple really quickly, and then they're holding on to some with the project that they believe in. And I think that's, like, you just have to be careful with, like, your sizing. Like, I think too many people right now are trying to buy 20 and flip 15, in an hour. And if you have 100 people trying to do that at the same time, the math just will never work out. So I don't think necessarily, like, the avatar stuff is even maybe done. There just needs to be the flippers have to get squeezed out.
Yeah, and I have 2
Back to
questions
community.
for sure. I just have 2 questions on avatars, and then we'll move on. So first of all, the project that we're seeing catch a little bit of fire and follow actually like a relatively similar trajectory to the Bored Apes is the Gutter Cats, where they came out really hot, they pulled back, and now they're kind of heating up again. And when I see it kind of regain steam, that's really interesting to me.
It lost a lot of steam today. Sorry to interrupt, but
they did.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, it's still very, very good. So I'll let you answer that question, but it had a big pullback this afternoon.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think part of that pullback that you're seeing is that there's so many flippers in the space right now. So I actually hit up a buddy of mine when I was away last weekend, and I think we talked about it in NFTCulture as well. But, like, the floor was quietly rising, and there was some volume, like, last week. The time to get in was, like, you could have gotten in 5 or 6 days ago at, like, 0.5, and then it goes all the way up to 2.5. So it needs a pullback anyways. But I was seeing people that were, like, buying at 1.45 and, like, listing at 1.9. You know what I mean? These guys are just trying to squeeze, like, 30% margin out of, like, a 4-hour flip. And when you start to see a lot of that, then it's just people. It's like if you could go into the food stand and there's a bunch of apples for $3.99 and you buy them all, and then you list them for $4.99, and then someone else comes behind you, buys them all, and lists them for $6.99. At a certain point in time, no one's paying that price, and then the flippers, like, get squeezed out. So you want to see, like, less of that. And I think part of the ramp up too was that cats are now doing an airdrop. I mean, I still like cats. There's a lot of positive catalysts, and they're still one of the best projects out there, like 20 days later. But just how quickly that ramped up. I mean, the floor went from 0.4 to 2 in 6 days. That's, like, a heck of a pump, and a lot of that is just flippers.